Hi. For those that don't know me, I'm Virginia Walton, and I'm an executive burnout coach. Prior to starting my coaching practice, I spent 24 years in the banking and finance industry, where I worked my way from teller at a small community bank to senior vice president of a $27 billion bank by the age of 38. I'd love to tell you it was fancy degrees and family connections that got me there, but it wasn't. It was hard work, both in terms of my tasks, but in terms of working on me. Had I not worked with a leadership coach, I wouldn't have had the success I did. So now I'm working to help others have an even greater level of success and hopefully have an easier path than I did. So I titled today's talk, The Confessions of an Exhausted Female Executive. So I've got 3 goals for us today. 1, that you know that you're not alone. 2, that you know you can improve your situation. And 3, to help you know when it's time for change. So first and foremost, you are not alone. We all know that there are lots of women managing career and family and, commitments at their kids' schools and their sports teams and in their community or churches. But where we think we're alone is we think they're all doing it with a smile and heels that don't hurt. Meanwhile, we're struggling. We're trying to pull it off. We're exhausted every day. Guess what? You are not alone. The reason you think you're alone is we're embarrassed or ashamed, and because we think everybody else is pulling it off, we don't want to admit that we're struggling to do it. So first, stop. Stop beating yourself up. Stop thinking you're the only one that wants to cry. It's exhausting. So it's okay to cry. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to talk about it, right? That this is how you feel. That's the first step in normalizing anything, right? Is talking about it. It's not taboo. You're human. You can only do so much. So it's okay. All right? Give yourself some grace. Okay. Now that we are all on the same page that it's okay to not be okay, I think that was an expression that came out of the pandemic, right? How do we improve? First off, know you have support. You're not the only one. I'm here for you. There's lots of women here to help you because we're all in the same boat. So, how do you improve it? First step, do a self-evaluation. Now, I know you're thinking, like I have time. I'm too damn busy. We just covered that. Make the time. I mean it. Make the time. That might sound harsh and not very coachy, but you have to. Listen, if you run a function or a company or a department and your metrics were out of whack, you'd stop what your team was doing, huddle them up, and look at it. You do the root cause analysis. You put in an action plan to get those metrics back to green because you know what's at stake when they're not. Okay, let me say that again. You know what's at stake when your metrics for your function, department, your company are out of whack, and you respond quickly and you don't think twice. Why don't you apply that in your personal life? To you as a person. Are your metrics out of whack? Only you will know. But you've got to find the time. And don't tell me you don't have time. If we look, we all have time. You're probably in a meeting that doesn't add any value to your day. Delegate that to a team member. Let them update you. So that maybe you get out a little earlier. Do you have a commute? Do you take mass transit? Are you the only one in your car? You've got time. So, look, I'm not talking about making time for a massage or a pedicure. Those are important. If they relax you and chill you out and make you feel good, great, do them. I got a massage yesterday. I was totally overdue. But I'm talking about looking at your calendar, the quality of your life, your values, and asking yourself, what's out of alignment? If you need to put it on a dashboard with red, yellow, and green like you would do for your key metrics for your department, then do it. This is non-negotiable. Look at your calendar, your quality of life, and your values. What's not green? That's going to tell you what needs to change. So, I said confession, right? Kind of funny, I am Catholic. So here's mine. I busted my ass in my 20s. At times I was working 2 jobs. My work ethic was incredible. Thanks, Mom. I worked really hard. I didn't say no to any opportunity that I got tapped for, whether it was a new role, a project, just a crappy task. I used to joke I made a career out of doing the stuff nobody else wanted to do. Nobody wants to write policy. Seriously? Nobody played policy writer as a kid. You might have played banker. But it worked. I was 38. I was named the Senior Risk Officer for the Commercial Division, reporting directly to the Chief Risk Officer. That I was a Senior Vice President. That meant there were only 2 rungs above me on that proverbial ladder. Now, granted, there might have been others next to me, but there were only 2 rungs above me. And I was in a satellite office. I was the only SVP that was a woman. And I was the only one not in my 50s. I wasn't even in my 40s. So here I'm like, I earned my seat at the table, boys. Yeah. Well, you got to keep earning it. So here I was. They divided up the risk staff that the new Chief Risk Officer inherited. I didn't get any. I got open recs. So I had to build my team. Oh, and that included building a brand new function that we used to outsource. I had to insource it. P.S. I never worked in that function. So I had to figure it out. And this was something our regulators expected. So not only was my boss looking at me, the board and the examiners were. Okay. Add on to that, I had a manager or boss who thought it was totally okay to text me at 8 o'clock at night on the weekend. To call me, as I'm driving into the office. So I didn't even have quiet for that hour commute. I was in the office before 9, and I was there till after 7. And then add that hour on to each way. Now, I think I've shared, I also coach junior field hockey, and I teach religious education at my church. Those kids are important to me. And so those days, I had to leave the office on time because there were kids in the middle of a field whose parents were just dropping them off, expecting there to be an adult there. Or I needed to be there. Again, parents were dropping kids off, and I couldn't have a classroom of 5th graders with no supervision. So yeah, a couple days a week, maybe a few more during the fall, I left on time. But after I went and I served, I had to come home and respond. There was more work. Or I had to do it on Sunday because Saturday, no, that's not a down day. I was getting home so late I couldn't take care of any errands or personal appointments. That became Saturday. So all those adult chores were Saturday. Sunday, maybe a few hours to sit quietly. Maybe. I could read the paper, but then, catch up on work, get ready for the week. So yeah, I had a comfortable living. A nice income, no debt. I also had no life. You feel guilty saying no to invitations. But then you go and you're like, you feel guilty that, I just want to be asleep, right? There's no winning. It sucked. It sucked. And guess what? All of that, we went through a merger like so many corporations. And my boss, who's had these unrealistic expectations, moved me. Here I had been killing myself. I remember one evening I worked in the office way too late. I got home, it was probably about 8 o'clock. I put something in the microwave for dinner as my laptop is rebooting back up. I worked another 3 hours in my kitchen. I'm exhausted. I go upstairs. I just want to go to sleep. And my cat, who was obviously feeling neglected because I was never around or sitting still, had peed all over my bed. And if you've ever had a cat, that is an awful smell. Okay? I bet you, if you know, you can actually smell it as I tell the story. So now the tears as I'm stripping my bed and trying to deal with it. And then I lose a political move. My boss sucker punches me and says, I'm going to shuffle you over here because I need to make a home for this guy from the other side of the merger who has a really good rapport with a key board member. I mean, it's business. I get why he did it. But hey, what about me killing myself to meet your ridiculous, unrealistic expectations? In the end, it didn't matter. Think about it. If you left your job, there probably would be a void for a time, but they'd replace you. They'd find somebody with comparable skills, maybe a different style, but somebody who can get the job done. Keep those metrics at green. We can't replace you in the world. There's no another one of you. You are unique. Remember that the next time you're killing yourself. And I get it. We need jobs. We have families to support. I used to dream about, wow, how great would it be to go work at Target? That's my happy place. Oh, life would be better. Probably not, because I would still be there. But the point is, don't get to that point. Don't feel like, you know what, the only option is to throw in the towel towards everything I've worked for. You have to stop and take care of you, just like you take care of everybody else. Make the time to see what needs to be changed. I wish I could tell you, you got to do this, this, and this. But you're all different. You're all unique. Not only as people, but your circumstances are different. What you're balancing is different. But nothing will change if you don't first stop and look and see what needs to change and then make the change. And if you're thinking, I don't know how. I've been doing this so long and living like this for so long. I just don't know how. That's where I can help you. There is hope. Let's work on this together. You are worth it. Let's talk. I've been there. I know it sucks. Let me help you. Let me help you do that self-assessment if you don't know how. Reach out. Listen, I used to go every year for my annual physical. And my doctor would say, well, how are you? And I go, run down. I'm exhausted. And he was like, something has to change. You should give up coaching. You should give up. He was talking about the things that brought me joy. I don't have kids of my own. But those kids are part of my life. The first year I coached field hockey, the second graders on that team are now seniors in high school. And when I go, now I have the time. I can get to their 4 o'clock game. When they walk off the field, I get a hug like I was part of their family. If I had listened to my doctor and just given up and just focused on work, I wouldn't have that joy. That's why I'm telling you, you've got to look at your calendar, your quality of life, and your values. Don't just give up the things that bring you joy. That's not going to change it. You're still going to have the boss with the unrealistic expectations who thinks it's okay to call you. Or, I remember when I first got told to have my work phone forwarded to my cell phone and have the company email app installed on my personal cell phone. Because my boss said, if he's traveling or you're traveling, I need to be able to get a hold of you. Let that sit in. You've probably had a similar experience. Or been told, we pay for your phone so we can reach you. And maybe you haven't. So then that's not the right solution for you. Reach out. Let me help you do that assessment. Let me help you find the change. No, you are not alone. And there is a way out. But it starts with you. And I'm here to help you make that first step. With that, be well. And remember, we are not built to just exist. We were built to live. So if you're just existing, let me help you find how to live. Oh, I almost forgot. How do you get a hold of me? Check out my website, virginiawalton.com. Drop me a comment here on Facebook, LinkedIn, message me. We've got the technology. I'm here. Just reach out. And remember, if you didn't need to hear this right now, maybe somebody else is struggling and they're not talking about it. Pass this along. You might be doing more to help a friend than you realize.